So welcome to the second part of today's lecture. Now we'll talk about in our earlier episode we discussed about changing voice in case of tense. First, it was indefinite, then it is continuous, then it is perfect, then it's perfect continuous. Now we'll see some exception rules or different rules. First, it comes modals. So what will happen if you find modals in active voice? How to change them? So in case of modal, it's very simple. So be to be added there. You understand? Suppose can be, will be, shall be, may be, must be, this much. So in active voice we find subject, any modal means can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, will, would. Then beyond object. This is the active voice modal structure. So if you wanna change it to passive, that way time same modal will be there, be to be added. Are you getting? Then for passive voice you always know that there will be be3, then by, then subject or objective form of subject. So Rudro can speak English. So we see a modal here, can. So if you want to change it to passive, English object, it will be at the beginning. So English can be spoken by Rudro. So it is, it's very simple and very important. You may find this type of question in exam. So simply just keep in mind, if you find modal be to be added with this, then others rule as usual. So Rudra can speak English, so English can be spoken by Rudra. Got it? Well, so let's move to the next rule. It says double object passive. So in some cases you will find that we were discussing the rules that we have to bring the object at the beginning, then we will change the voice. But in some cases you will find that there are two objects. So in this case what will happen? So if an active sentence consists both an indirect object and direct object, the sentence can be made passive using either object, or the indirect object can be used as a subject of the passive sentence or the direct object. So we find two objects, direct object or indirect object. Direct means which takes place at the beginning, indirect means which takes place later. So what does it say? What does the rule say? That you can pick any one, but some grammarians, they suggest that you may better, it's better if you take the subjective pronoun, means the pronoun, personal pronoun. You understand? So if you make personal pronoun subject, then it's okay, or some grammarians they suggest this. So if you see the example, then it will be clear. He gave her a present. So he gave her, it's also object, a present is also object. So you can change to passive in two ways. She was given a present, or a present was given to her. So what happens? Which one is correct? Both are correct, but it is suggested that or some grammarians prefer that this personal pronoun to be made subject. You understand? So in case of double object, what to do? We may pick any one, we may change in both way, but it is suggested or it is preferred by some experts that personal pronoun to be made subject. Okay, so now we'll see some exceptions. So you're learning some cases that by to be added, but in some cases we'll see that by is not added, by is not used. There are some other context. So which context and which pronouns to be used, let's see. The reasons for using exceptions in active passive voice. So the basic structure of active passive voice varies depending upon many factors, like types of verbs used, prepositions, gerunds, etc. Now let us understand when and why we need to use the following exceptions. Consider these cases. So case 1 says, like you see, Raj completed the work. Understand? So usually it goes, the work was completed by Raj. Understand? So subject, verb, object. Simply we learned the rule, object to be made subject, then helping verbs be3, then by, then subject. But you see here an exception, Raj knew Ria. So if you wanna change it, it is not by here, it is to. So Ria was known to Raj. So this is the exception of tense, means every time we are not supposed to use by. In some cases, to be used. You understand? So look at, we'll see now some exceptions. So first is to use preposition at instead of by. So in some cases we to use at. In which cases? For the sentences with surprised, annoyed, shocked, alarmed, disappointed, displeased, distressed, astonished, laughed. So we to use at. If you see the example, his behavior annoyed me. So I was annoyed at his behavior. So if you find these verbs as main verb, that be time by would not be used, rather at to be used. You understand? So this is the exception, means not every case is by to be used. In some cases some other prepositions to be used. Are you getting? Hopefully you are getting. These are very simple. Next it comes with. So in some cases with is used, not by. For which verbs like pleased, disgusted, impressed, charmed, filled, satisfied, dissatisfied, with this much we use with preposition. So for this, if you see the example, our performance impressed us. So if we want to change it to passive, it comes we were impressed with her performance. So are you getting? So these are very simple. So not every case is by to be used. In some extent to is used, in some extent with is used. So earlier rules we learned about to, now we talk about with. In some extent at to be used, this much. In some cases when to be used. So if you find the verbs like smell, taste, feel, that very time when is used. Like honey tastes sweet. If you want to change it to passive, honey is sweet when tasted, or when it is tested. So you got it? Hopefully you got it. So we discussed voice definition, types, and changing voice in case of tense, in case of modals, in case of double objects, and there are some exceptions. So next class we will go for exercises. So what we discussed today, let's have a review. First we talked about how to change the voice of present perfect. So we came to know here that if you find have has, we to take been, then be3. Then for past perfect, had is there, so we to take been, then be3. Then shall have, will have, here also been, then be3. Then it comes perfect continuous, here present perfect, so being b3, it will be being b3, then other things as usual. For past perfect, same thing, had been, then being b3. For future perfect, shall have, will have, then been, being b3, then other things is for time. Then in case of modals, we learned that can, could, may, might, must, so be will be there. Then double object, you can change the voice in both ways, but it is suggested that you pick the personal pronoun, then make it subject, then other things as usual. So then next we see in some cases by is not used always. Some cases at to be used, like surprise and or some cases with is used, some cases when is used.